The Earth and Mars orbits synchronize every 2 years, or every 26 months, technically. So the next orbital synchronization is November of next year. So, and you can launch plus minus a month, roughly. So we'd have to launch in November or December of next year. So the default plan is to launch hopefully several starships to Mars at the end of next year.
And what would they be doing?
Well, at first we're just going to try to land on Mars and see if we succeed in landing. Do we succeed in landing? Like, let's say we were able to send 5 ships. Do all 5 land intact, or do we add some craters to Mars? If we add some craters, we've got to be a bit more cautious about sending people, you know. And we need to... So we got to make sure the thing lands safely.
How does it land on Mars?
With our rocket thrusters.
So it'll just land...
Oh, we'll add legs.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
It'll just
legs.
land and have legs. And
Yeah.
So it'll be remote controlled from Earth? Or
no,
it'll...
just autonomous.
Autonomous, completely.
Yeah. Mars is... you can't remote control things from Earth because Mars
too far.
It's too far. Speed of light. You have speed of light constraints. So Mars at closest approach is roughly 4 light minutes, and when it's on the other side of the sun, it's about 12 light minutes. So round trip would be like 40 minutes, best case, if Mars is on the other side of the sun.
So once you do that, then how long do you think before you start sending people up there?
Well, we're going to try to go as fast as possible. You can think of this as really a race against time. Can we make Mars self-sufficient before civilization has some sort of future fork in the road where there's either like a war, nuclear war or something, or we get hit by a meteor, or simply civilization might just die with a whimper in adult diapers instead of with a bang. I think we can do this in, I don't know, at least, I think we could do it within 15 Earth-Mars synchronization events, or, so basically like 30-ish years. If we have an exponential increase if every year, if every 2 years we have like a major increase in the number of people and tonnage to Mars. Like I think as a rough approximation, we need about 1 million tons to the surface of Mars, maybe 1 million people, that kind of thing.
To actually have a civilization.
Yeah.
And would you terraform? Like, what would you do?
You would eventually terraform Mars. At first, people would live in some kind of protected environment like domes and underground kind of thing. Terraforming would take too long. And we're at this point in time where, for the first time in the 4.5 billion year history of Earth, it is possible to extend consciousness beyond our home planet. And that window may be open for a long time, or it may be open for a short time. I hope it's open for a long time. But it might only be open for a short time. And we should just make sure that we extend the light of consciousness to Mars before civilization either extinguishes or subsides. All that needs to happen is that the technology level of Mars drops below, or technology level of Earth drops below what is necessary to send spaceships to Mars. So if there's some really destructive war, or like I said, some natural cataclysm, or simply the birth rate is so low that, we just, like I said, die in adult diapers with a whimper. That's one of the possible outcomes. For a lot of countries are headed that way, by the way. So
Japan is, right?
Japan, Korea.
Yeah.
I mean, at
dangerously.
At current birth rates, in 3 generations, Korea will be about 4% of its current size.
That's insane.
Yeah, maybe even less than that. They're only at 1/3 replacement rate. So if you have 3 generations, that's your 1/27th of your current population, which is 3% ish.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, basically population collapse happens fast. So, and seems to be accelerating in most parts of the world. So basically, I mean, from my standpoint, I'm like, this is the first time it's been possible to extend consciousness beyond Earth. Maybe that window will be open for a long time, but it might only be open for a short time. We should make sure that we make life multiplanetary and make consciousness multiplanetary while it's possible.
Well,
That's the goal of SpaceX.
it's certainly a smart goal if you take into consideration how vulnerable this planet really is. I mean, there's always some news story about something that might come and hit us 30 years from now. It's a 3% chance, and we really can't stop that right now, right? I mean, we don't really have the technology currently to even know how many rocks are coming our way, right? There's stuff that comes behind the sun that we can't see until it's pretty close. Then it's headed our way.
Yeah.
Now, what is the fear of it's a long journey to Mars. You're sending people. It's a 6 month. How many months will it take?
6 months. 6 months roughly.
What about stuff that's out there? Like, how much of a fear is it of micrometeors or any of the possibilities? What can you do to mitigate that?
I think actually, I mean, space is very empty. Like once you get out of Earth orbit, space is like kind of unnervingly empty. It's just like when we send spacecraft to Mars, it's not like, oh, we lost a spacecraft because it got hit by a micrometeorite. That's not been the cause of any trips to Mars. No trips to Mars have failed because of micrometeorites. Now, a Dragon spacecraft, which operates in low Earth orbit, does have micrometeorite shields. It has shielding. And micrometeorite shielding is different from normal shielding because like you get hit by something that's moving at, like you could have a relative velocity of like maybe 30 or 40,000 miles per hour. Yeah, so very, very fast. Or just thought of another way, call it, 10 to 20 times the velocity of a bullet from an assault rifle.
And what are you using?
It's interesting. You actually, in order for micrometeorite protection, if you have anything that's solid, it will just push that chunk of solid stuff right through. So if you had like a solid plate of aluminum or steel, the micrometeorite would go right through it. So what you actually need to do is have a gap. So you have an initial like hard surface, a hard metal surface that the micrometeorite hits. It then atomizes into a conical spray, like an atomic spray. So it's important to have that gap so that the micrometeorite can hit something, hit the first layer, atomize after hitting the first layer, then it turns into an atomic, like a cone of atoms that then embed themselves in the second layer. You need like maybe a couple inches of gap.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how micrometeorite shielding works.
How many times can it get hit?
Well, the outer shield, if it gets hit in the same place, you're gonna have a hole.
Yeah.
Wherever wherever that micrometeorite object hit, you're gonna have a hole. And it's like the energy is so great that it just atomizes just into a cone, basically, a cone of atoms. But then those atoms then embed themselves in the second layer.
So what can you do if you're sending the ship up, it gets hit with a micrometeorite, and then you have to return it? Do you have to repair it before you return it? Or is it capable of still withstanding the heat and the shaking and the temperature with that hole in it when it re-enters?
Well, it depending on where that hole is, you're more or less likely to have a problem. I mean, if you hit the main heat shield, the main heat shield really is you've got a high risk of not making it back. So this is why like micrometeorite shielding, it's like it's slightly helpful, but it's not gonna like for Starship. I wouldn't recommend having micrometeorite shielding. Like if you do punch a hole, just plug the hole, basically. The micrometeorite shielding, it doesn't work well on the primary heat shield. It works pretty well on the back shell, on the leeward side of the heat shield, where basically there's not that much heat. But if you got hit with a micrometeorite on the main Dragon heat shield, the bottom, like if you look at Dragon spacecraft, it looks like a gumdrop shape,
Mm-hmm.
and it enters with the wide side of the gumdrop down. You can see that's really taking a lot of heat. If that gets hit by a micrometeorite, probably not going to make it. But the back, the leeward side of the gumdrop doesn't see that much heat, so you could survive a micrometeorite impact there.
So if the part that was the major heat shield gets hit, the main heat shield gets hit, what could be done to repair that thing? Or are those people never coming back?
If it was in orbit, we would take them to the space station. There was, and then we would deorbit Dragon without them and send up another one.
And so what would you do with the one that's up there?
We'd deorbit it, and it may or may not survive.
Whoa.
It probably would survive, but sometimes it wouldn't.
Wow. And so is this just material technology that has to increase? That you essentially have got the engineering ironed out of the structure of the machine.
There's a path to success, and we're on that path.
It seems so insanely complicated.
It is complicated. And all of this, by the way, was done without AI, so hopefully the future AIs will appreciate this. Not bad for a bunch of monkeys.
Yeah, no,